this pitting between two women and division between two women. It's about vile, disgusting hatred that can come from completely made up and twisted and perpetuated narratives.
For years, Hailey Bieber seemed almost untouchable. No matter how many headlines surrounded her, there was always a crowd ready to defend her. While every conversation somehow circled back to her marriage with Justin Bieber or comparisons to Selena Gomez, a lot of people saw Hailey as the unfairly judged one. She became the face of effortless beauty, minimalist fashion, and the clean girl aesthetic. Every skincare routine, every outfit, every casual mirror selfie seemed to influence millions. Whether people wanted her products or simply wanted to look like her, she had become one of the internet's biggest aspirational figures. That image didn't happen by accident. Hailey mastered the art of looking unbothered. She rarely engaged with criticism, kept her public appearances polished, and built a beauty brand that promised the same effortless perfection people associated with her. To many fans, she wasn't just another celebrity. She was the blueprint. Someone who appeared calm, successful, stylish, and completely in control while the internet argued around her. But lately, something feels different. The loudest criticism isn't coming from longtime Selena Gomez supporters anymore. It's coming from people who once admired her, bought her products, copied her routines, and defended her online. Instead of talking about flawless skin or fashion inspiration, the conversation has shifted toward product complaints, branding decisions, and whether the image she spent years building actually matches reality. The benefit of the doubt that once followed her everywhere suddenly seems to be disappearing. That's what makes this story so interesting. It's not one scandal that changed everything. It's a series of moments that, on their own, might not have mattered much, but together, they've started to chip away at an image that once felt almost impossible to damage. And once people stop believing the image you've built, every mistake suddenly looks a lot bigger. For a long time, Hailey Bieber had something most celebrities spend years trying to build. An image that seemed almost impossible to damage. Even when criticism followed her online, it rarely stuck. Every controversy was met with an equally passionate group of fans ready to explain it away, defend her intentions, or argue that she was simply being targeted because of who she married. In many ways, that narrative worked in her favor. Instead of being seen as the villain, she often became the underdog. The comparison with Selena Gomez played a huge role in that perception. Whether she wanted it or not, Hailey's name was constantly pulled into conversations about Justin Bieber's past relationship. Interviews about her own career somehow turned into questions about Selena, and social media kept fueling the rivalry. Eventually, many people became exhausted by it. Even viewers who weren't necessarily fans of Hailey started defending her because the constant comparisons felt unfair. Supporting her became less about choosing sides and more about pushing back against what many believed was endless online harassment. That sympathy slowly evolved into admiration. Hailey wasn't just Justin Bieber's wife anymore. She became one of the defining fashion and beauty influencers of the decade. Every outfit she wore sparked countless recreations. Her slick-back bun, minimal makeup, glazed skin, oversized leather jackets, gold jewelry, and effortless street style became the blueprint for what millions started calling the clean girl aesthetic. It wasn't just a beauty trend, it became a lifestyle that dominated TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest. Then came Rhode. The skincare brand arrived at exactly the right moment, capitalizing on an audience that already wanted whatever Hailey was using. Instead of selling complicated beauty routines, Rhode leaned into simplicity. Minimal packaging, neutral colors, glowing skin, and short ingredient lists all reinforced the same message: effortless beauty. The brand felt like a direct extension of Hailey herself, making it easy for consumers to believe they weren't just buying moisturizer or lip treatments, they were buying into her entire lifestyle. That's what made her influence so powerful. Every mirror selfie, every get ready with me video, every coffee run, every casual photo dump looked carefully effortless. She presented a version of life that felt polished without appearing overly polished, luxurious without seeming unattainable. Millions of people people didn't just admire the products she promoted, they admired the person they believed she represented. And that's the real reason Rhode became such a success in its early days. People weren't lining up because they desperately needed another skincare brand. They were buying the promise that came with it. The glowing skin, the calm confidence, the perfectly curated life, and the idea that maybe, with the right products, they could capture a small piece of that image for themselves. In other words, people weren't just buying skincare, they were buying the fantasy. Rhode was supposed to be the moment Hailey Bieber proved she was more than just another celebrity with a famous last name. By the time the brand launched, she'd already spent years building an image around flawless skin, simple beauty routines, and effortless luxury. Everything from her social media to her public appearances reinforced the same message. If you wanted that clean, glowing look everyone was chasing, Hailey seemed to have the formula. Rhode simply gave people a way to buy into it. The launch couldn't have gone much better. Products sold out almost immediately, influencers rushed to review them, and the brand quickly became one of the biggest names in celebrity skincare. But while the marketing looked polished, the conversation slowly started shifting from the campaign photos to the products themselves. Customers began sharing experiences of irritation, breakouts, and allergic reactions after using certain Rhode products. Skin reacts differently for everyone, so complaints alone weren't unusual. What stood out was how many similar stories started appearing across TikTok, Reddit, and other platforms. Some customers also questioned whether ingredient information and allergy warnings were clear enough for people with sensitive skin. As more posts gained traction, the excitement surrounding Rhode slowly gave way to skepticism. The peptide lip treatment, one of Rhode's most recognizable products, became another source of criticism. Videos showing grainy textures, clumping, and inconsistent formulas spread quickly online. Whether those issues affected every product or only certain batches almost didn't matter anymore. The videos were everywhere, and every new upload encouraged more people to inspect their own products and share their experiences. Then another controversy added fuel to the fire. Customers posted photos claiming they had found fibers or shard-like particles inside jars of Rhode's caffeine reset mask. The images spread rapidly, with people questioning the brand's quality control and asking how something like that could happen in a premium skincare product. Even people who had never purchased Rhode were suddenly seeing the brand associated with complaints rather than glowing reviews. What frustrated many customers even more was the response, or what they believed was the lack of one. While discussions about product quality continued online, Rhode's social media remained focused on promoting new launches and upcoming releases. To some consumers, it felt as though marketing had taken priority over addressing concerns from existing customers. Whether that was actually the case became less important than how people perceived it. That's the challenge every beauty brand eventually faces. Consumers don't expect perfection, but they do expect confidence that problems will be acknowledged when they happen. The moment people begin wondering whether a company is listening, trust starts becoming part of the conversation. And trust is everything in skincare. People are applying these products directly to their faces. They're not buying them because they need another moisturizer sitting on the bathroom shelf. They're buying them because they believe the brand understands what it's selling. Once that confidence starts slipping, every new launch gets viewed through a different lens. Instead of asking whether the product looks good, customers start asking whether it's worth taking the chance. Rhode wasn't built on ingredients alone. It was built on the image Hailey Bieber spent years creating. The products represented the lifestyle, the aesthetic, and the idea that effortless beauty could be achieved with a simple routine. That connection helped the brand grow quickly, but it also meant every complaint reflected back on the person behind it. For luxury beauty brands, trust isn't optional, it's the product. As Rhode started receiving more criticism, something else quietly began to happen. People stopped looking only at the products and started paying closer attention to Hailey Bieber herself. Every TikTok, every Instagram post, every brand campaign was suddenly being viewed through a different lens. The same content that once made her seem aspirational was now making some people wonder if they were watching a person or a marketing campaign. Her social media became one of the biggest talking points. Scroll through her pages and it's hard to miss how much of the content revolves around followed Rhode. Product launches, behind-the-scenes clips, campaign shoots, lip treatments, phone cases, limited editions, new shades, new drops. There's nothing unusual about a founder promoting their own business, but audiences began noticing how little there was beyond the brand itself. What once felt like sharing pieces of her life gradually started feeling like every post had a sales objective. That shift matters because social media has changed dramatically over the last few years. 5 years ago, audiences were excited to watch celebrities launch businesses. Today, almost every major celebrity has a skincare brand, a makeup line, a clothing company, or a wellness label. Consumers have become much harder to impress, and they're much quicker to recognize marketing when they see it. The polished aesthetic that once attracted millions now risks making everything feel overly curated. A growing criticism online was that Rhode no longer felt like a skincare brand people discovered naturally. Instead, it seemed impossible to escape. Every appearance became an opportunity to feature a product. Every interview somehow circled back to Rhode. Every quote-unquote casual photo seemed carefully positioned to include the latest release. Even fans who genuinely liked the product started commenting that they wanted to see more of Hailey and less of the constant advertising. That kind of audience fatigue isn't unique to Rhode. It's something people have said about other celebrity brands for years, and Kylie Cosmetics is probably the comparison that comes up most often. The excitement surrounding those brands eventually gave way to a feeling that every social media post existed to sell something. Once audiences start making that connection, even genuine moments begin to feel like part of a campaign. That's where authenticity becomes so important. People don't expect celebrities to share every detail of their lives. They know social media is curated, but they still want moments that feel real enough to connect with. When every video looks like an ad and every post appears designed to drive sales, that connection starts fading. The lifestyle begins to feel manufactured rather than lived. For Hailey, that became a growing challenge because Rhode wasn't just another business venture, it was tied directly to her identity. The brand was built around the idea that consumers could recreate her effortless look. So when audiences started questioning the marketing, they also started questioning the image behind it. Was this really her everyday routine, or was everything becoming part of the brand? Those questions didn't appear overnight, but they became louder with every new launch. The conversation slowly shifted from admiration to skepticism, and people who once copied everything Hailey did were now wondering how much of it was genuine. But the real turning point wasn't a skincare launch. It was Coachella. Coachella didn't create the conversation around Hailey Bieber, but it definitely changed it. Before that weekend, most of the criticism centered on Rhode and its products. After Coachella, the focus shifted almost entirely to Hailey herself. Every public appearance, every interaction, and every clip that surfaced online became something people wanted to analyze. It wasn't just about what happened, it was about what people believed they were seeing. One of the biggest moments involved Billie Eilish and Justin Bieber. Videos quickly spread across social media showing Billie being brought on stage during Justin's performance of One Less Lonely Girl. At first, many people celebrated the moment as a thoughtful surprise, with Hailey receiving praise for making it happen. Fan accounts described it as a genuine act of kindness, and the clips racked up millions of views within hours. Then, the conversation changed. Online discussions began pointing to footage from the event's soundcheck, where Billie had reportedly already been rehearsing with Justin. Screenshots of the set list also circulated, leading many viewers to question whether the moment had actually been planned all along. The debate quickly moved away from whether the performance was entertaining and toward whether it had been presented as something more spontaneous than it really was. Whether that interpretation was fair or not, it highlighted something that's becoming increasingly common online. Audiences no longer take celebrity moments at face value. Every viral clip gets slowed down, compared with other footage, and discussed across TikTok, Reddit, X, and YouTube. What might have once been accepted as a sweet backstage moment now becomes a detective story, with thousands of people trying to figure out what happened before the camera started rolling. That same level of scrutiny extended to Hailey and Justin's relationship throughout the festival. Photos of them together spread quickly, showing Hailey supporting Justin during performances and spending time with him throughout the weekend. For many fans, those moments were exactly what they appeared to be: a wife supporting her husband. Others saw something different. Online discussions focused on how frequently those moments were being shared, reposted, and amplified by fan pages. Relationship edits flooded social media, highlighting affectionate moments, public appearances, and clips that reinforced the idea of a happy, stable marriage. Some viewers believed this was simply the internet celebrating a celebrity couple. Others interpreted the steady stream of content as part of a broader effort to reshape public perception after months of negative headlines. The difference in interpretation is what made Coachella so significant. The debate wasn't really about one performance or one weekend, it reflected how differently people now viewed Hailey's public image. Moments that might have been celebrated a year earlier were suddenly being questioned, analyzed, and picked apart from every possible angle. Celebrity culture has changed because audiences have changed. Fans create edits within minutes, commentary channels publish breakdowns before events are even over, Reddit threads compare timelines, while TikTok stitches together clips from multiple angles. A single appearance doesn't stay a single appearance for very long. It becomes dozens of competing narratives, each shaped by the people sharing it. By the time Coachella ended, it wasn't the performances people were still debating. It was authenticity. Somewhere along the way, the conversation stopped being just about Hailey Bieber. It became about something much bigger: how celebrity branding works in the social media era. Audiences today consume fame very differently than they did even 5 years ago. Back then, polished content was the expectation. Perfect Instagram feeds, carefully planned campaigns, and highly produced interviews helped build a celebrity's image. Now, those same things can make people suspicious. Hailey's social media became a perfect example of that shift. As Rhode continued growing, more and more of her content revolved around the brand. New launches, campaign shoots, skincare routines, behind-the-scenes clips. It all made sense for someone running a beauty company. But over time, some followers started feeling like there wasn't much separation between Hailey the person and Hailey the business. Every scroll seemed to lead back to another Rhode product. That's not a criticism unique to Hailey. It's something audiences have said about plenty of celebrity brands. Kylie Cosmetics faced similar comments when people felt every Instagram post was leading to another product launch. The difference today is that viewers recognize those patterns much faster. They're constantly asking themselves whether they're watching someone's real life or a carefully planned marketing strategy. The internet also has a habit of stretching every moment far beyond what it originally was. A short interview becomes dozens of reaction videos. A red carpet appearance gets clipped into hundreds of TikToks. A single Instagram photo turns into Reddit threads analyzing every detail in the background. Content moves so quickly that people rarely see one post by itself anymore. They see it alongside everything else that person has posted for months. That's why public perception can change without someone's content changing very much at all. Once people become skeptical, they start looking at everything through a different lens. They notice patterns they would have ignored before. A casual post suddenly feels intentional. A public appearance sparks conversations about timing. Even an interview that would have seemed completely ordinary starts getting picked apart online. Whether those conclusions are accurate isn't always what drives the conversation. What matters is that enough people begin viewing the same person differently. And once that shift happens, it's incredibly difficult to convince the audience they're looking at anything other than a carefully managed brand. That's exactly where Hailey's public image seemed to be heading. And then Coachella happened. Celebrity reputations rarely fall apart because of one massive scandal. More often, they change through momentum. One controversy leads to another. A few negative headlines turn into weeks of online debate, and before long, people stop giving someone the benefit of the doubt they once had. When audiences trust a celebrity, mistakes are usually written off as isolated incidents. Fans defend them, positive stories spread faster than negative ones, and the conversation eventually moves on. But once that trust begins to fade, the opposite happens. Every new headline feels connected to the last one. Every interview gets analyzed. Every social media post becomes another opportunity for people to ask whether the criticism was justified all along. The internet accelerates that process. Algorithms don't reward balance, they reward engagement. Videos questioning a celebrity's behavior generate reactions. Reaction videos create more discussion, and those discussions introduce the story to people who weren't following it in the first place. A single clip turns into dozens of reposts, opinion pieces, and fan edits, keeping the conversation alive far longer than it normally would. That doesn't necessarily mean that criticism is always fair. It means perception starts moving faster than the person at the center of it can control. Once enough people begin looking at someone through a more skeptical lens, even relatively small moments can dominate the conversation. And that's the challenge facing any public figure today. Building a reputation takes years. Losing the public's confidence can happen one headline at a time. This doesn't have to be the end of Hailey Bieber's career. Celebrity reputations have recovered from far worse, and public opinion has a way of changing just as quickly as it turns. But what may be disappearing is the version of Hailey people spent years believing in. The untouchable, quote-unquote clean girl who always seemed one step removed from controversy. Because audiences rarely walk away all at once, it happens gradually. A product they stop buying, a post they scroll past, a story they no longer believe. And sometimes that's all it takes for a carefully built image to start fading. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe to Fame Planet for more stories that go beyond the headlines. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.